Yeah, man, that is definitely a fad for me. That is definitely a morning
Just
ritual.
hanging out with my sickos.
I'm a Seiko man. Not gonna lie. Seiko till I die.
You know what's funny is these are like my two favorite Seiko divers ever in my hands right now.
Hi guys.
What's up?
This is Patrick.
It's Adam.
And this is Clock.
Stock.
And
Barrel.
Barrel. So now guys, I'm sure you're wondering why I'm not wearing a watch on the watch channel. It's because my watch is in this box. And this box is the best. You know what? I'm not even going to explain it. Just watch.
Whoa!
Yeah. Instant hard on.
Out of space.
Guys, this is the model just before the Oris Aquis. This is the TT1 by Oris Professional Diver. Is that not beautiful? Can you see that?
It's beautiful.
Can they see that? I hope so. Guys, we're going to get to talking about this watch in a second. This is going to be an in-review. I've had this watch for a little while now. I'm absolutely enamored. It caused me to sell my Omega Seamaster Professional. And I'll tell you why.
That's pretty crazy.
Check it out. See if you can find fun facts.
Check this out, guys. Look at this pamphlet, this hardcover.
Yeah, guys.
Look at that.
I wasn't going to do a thorough unboxing for you, but check this out. Every Oris,
I'm very impressed.
every Oris pretty much comes with this hardcover manual, right? So you put your warranty card, your stuff in there. It's really fun. This case was well designed in that you can put everything neatly in this nice little black and red box.
It's awesome.
At any rate, we're going to get to why you came here today.
Coolest box I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
Unboxing.
Definitely the coolest box.
Yeah.
And I'll have to agree with you there. So guys, you're probably familiar with the Oris Aquis. I had an opportunity to buy one of those. Instead, I went with the older model, and Adam had an Oris Aquis.
I had the more modern one with the ceramic bezel.
The longest time, you had it on a rubber strap, you had it on the integrated bracelets, and
fun fact, I think of all the watches that I flipped, which is like over 80 in my time, I think selling the Oris Aquis is the one I regret the most. So I can guarantee you, I'm not looking right now, but in 2017 I will probably have another modern Oris
And the thing
Aquis.
is, oh my gosh, well, the TT1 variants, there weren't that many. There was some titanium models. There was a Pepsi titanium. They did a black version. They did a blue version, and I believe they had a blue bezel insert, almost sand-like dial. Now, I don't remember all these model references, and the information out there is kind of scant on the TT1s. It's kind of hard to pull up information on these particular models, but I do know that this is one of the last production pieces based off of the clasp design and the integrated bracelet, as well as the bezel. The bezel inserts were a little different, and I'll actually just explain that now. Some of the older TT1s had a triangle at the 12 o'clock that filled out the entire space of that bezel, while this one is a definite triangle. Now, I wish I had a comparison for you, but you're just going to have to take my word for it. If you do look up those Oris TT1s, though, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Or if you own one, you'll know what I'm talking about. Alright guys, I've owned 2 wave dial watches, and I only kept one. Before we get into that, I'd like to discuss some of the specifications of this particular wave dial watch, this Oris here. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at this piece. So guys, this has a 44mm case. It utilizes a Sellita SW200. And let me open this clasp for you so you can see that a little bit better. It's rocking the Oris red rotor that you come to expect and see commonly in these display caseback watches from Oris. Almost all modern Orises use a display caseback. It's just one of their trends. I absolutely love it.
I think that's so cool for 300. So many 300-meter divers, they have their solid casebacks, but the fact that Oris can have that sapphire see-through caseback is awesome.
Yes, and it's a sandwich of sapphire glass. So you have that sapphire on the back, you also have it on the front here. It has an anti-reflective layer on the inside, so it helps visibility a little bit. Maybe you can tell. Hope we can see it here. So what's unique about this over the modern dial is that it has a wave pattern on the dial itself, and those bullet hour markers. I absolutely love that. On the far sides of the watch, you can see those minute markers, and they reorient the bottom half of those minutes so you can see them more easily as well. So for all intents and purposes, this is a phenomenal everyday wearer if you're just trying to tell the time. And also, you have a date window at the very bottom, which is quick set by the crown just opposite here. And by the way, this crown action is phenomenal, guys. I don't need to fool with it too much. The one thing I want to note is it's actually a different texture and material than the body itself. It looks as though it's been bead blasted. It's definitely not brushed, and it's certainly not polished, but you can tell that here. This is the original crown for this watch. Finding these pieces in, with the bracelet in original condition is actually pretty easy to come by. But do be wary if you're looking to pick one of these up yourself. All right, guys. So Adam and I have both owned Omegas. We've actually owned the same model Omega. Do you remember the reference number on that?
It's the pre-coaxial wave dial,
and it's pre Daniel Craig Bond.
I want to say it's the reference 2351, 2350 something, 2530. I can't remember, but
very close.
Yeah,
somewhere in that region.
Somewhere in that region.
It's those numbers arranged maybe a little differently, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I've also owned an Aquis. So keep that in mind. I've had an Oris that's basically the same ballpark as this. This one's the predecessor.
Correct. So we won't draw comparisons to the Aquis here today, in case you guys are wondering. However, we do have experience with this watch and the movement inside of it. So I feel comfortable in saying I kept this over my Seamaster because I could not justify owning the Seamaster over this. I'll let you guys know, I spent sub $700 for this piece, well under $700 for this piece, and you fork over a lot more for a Seamaster Professional. Now, I know some people would think that it's apples and oranges between the two, and I'll agree. One is certainly more of a dress watch. That would be the Omega Seamaster with that thinner movement, the ETA 2892. I forget what I think it's 1120 is what Omega calls it. It's a modified movement.
Caliber 1120, that's right.
It has a thinner profile, and you know what? That's cool. It'll fit under a cuff a lot better. There's certainly pros to that aspect, but for me, for a tool watch collector, for a guy who wanted a dive watch, this is the one to go for. One thing I'd like to say is that I loved the Omega Wave pattern more. I think it looked great on the dial. However, I love the coloration of Oris's dial. Again, it's just that much more aesthetically pleasing to me. Mm-hmm. That matters when I pick up a watch that I want to look at it equally as much for the time as much as I enjoy just the piece itself.
And I think it should be noted too that this Oris is not lacking in quality whatsoever compared to the. That's the one thing that's really great too, is because
a lot of these couldn't keep the Seamaster for that reason. I'm like, because I said it before on a forum and I'll say it again. This wears more comfortably.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's true for the Aquis. This wears more comfortably than an Omega Seamaster.
Yeah.
Hands down. I really, and I had that Seamaster for almost a year, months to a year, and it was great. It was very comfortable. And the thing is, it's a vintage piece now.
Yeah.
It really is. So those bracelets that you're getting on those watches have been worn in. They're going to be a little looser. They're going to be a little bit more comfortable. But this, out of the box, maybe this is a 2006, maybe? I believe this model year. This thing is worlds above a lot of watches in its price range, and it just edged out the Omega for me.
And I think it's great too because Oris is still an independent watchmaker,
yes,
right? And someone like Omega, owned by Swatch, they're subject to price hikes, and just whatever Swatch is in charge of, it's like inevitable that those prices slowly large as their marketing kind of gets spruced up a little bit. But Oris is still independent, and they can make these incredible pieces and not charge that ridiculous premium, And same thing with my Aquis. That thing absolutely blew me away. Just like this, one thing, guys, about Oris, especially with the TT1 and the Aquis as well.
Yeah.
The pictures and videos absolutely do not do these watches justice. I remember reading, just on the forums and stuff about, I was seeing pictures and I was like, man, why does everyone rave about these Oris watches, these Oris dive watches? And when I got one in person finally, I was absolutely blown away. Yeah. Not just by the overall fit and finish, or just the overall quality. Yeah. Everything coming in together in one package. It's
worlds above what
incredible.
You expect. I mean, I think it's MSRP for a new Aquis. If you want to get something comparable to the TT1, it's like $1,400 or $1,500, right?
Yeah.
Now, in the used market, you can find it for a whole lot less. and maybe we'll get to a video discussion later on discussing how we shop used. We have a lot of local markets here in New York, but you can also use eBay. That's neither here nor there. You can find them for sub $800, $700, and around $600 sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's for an Aquis and the TT1. The TT1 has its own following. They're completely different watches. And what I love about Oris is they've modernized their pieces periodically over the time. So older TT1s have a different handset than this, sort of different dial face and layout. And same with the bezel insert. They're always trying to make it more legible and more modern. So the Aquis has a ceramic bezel. It's a great addition. They've taken away the wave dial. They wanted to look a little bit more sleek, more matte, more professional.
And they still keep it low key because it's a brushed ceramic dial on the newer Aquis. You know? So they're still kind of staying true to some of the older roots, but just modernizing a little bit.
That brushed finish too. It's like you have a gloss ceramic bezel. It's going to pick up fingerprints, and I hate that.
Yeah.
With the brush surface, you don't get that, but you do get the hardness and resistance that you'd expect from ceramic. So, and also the bracelet. I mean, I think the bracelet itself is pretty much the same. However, the clasp, they've changed as well. And the TT1 had, I think, 2 versions of an Oris clasp, and they've changed it again on the Aquis. But they're always, what I'm trying to get at here is that they're always improving their design, and I really appreciate that from a privately owned brand.
What do you think about the lack of crown guards for this piece?
So I love that. So the Omega Seamaster had like slight crown guards and a helium release valve, and that's what makes the Seamaster. I mean, for the people wearing it, it makes the Seamaster Seamaster, and there are like GMT variants of that Seamaster sans the helium escape valve. And to me, it sort of takes away from the aesthetic. That's why I bought an Omega Seamaster. It was iconic, and I didn't really want to wear an icon. I want to make an icon. So if you're like that, the Oris would probably appeal to you as well. I love that there's no crown guard. It's never gotten into a situation where it's tugged on anything. It's so well recessed into the case, and maybe you can tell just even off the back. They've made it so easy to access and so out of the way that it's never been problematic. I think if a case is designed well enough, similar to this kettle shape, the crown guards are irrelevant. I mean, particularly for daily wearers, for gents like us, we don't. We might go snorkeling or diving, but never any sort of professional level of diving. Because we haven't to where it's a really big issue. Protecting this from getting knocked and then water getting in there. It's not a matter. It's not a big issue for me.
Yeah.
So no issues there, and that's interesting. The Aquis does utilize a crown guard. Maybe we'll get Aquis in for you guys to do a little comparative analysis.
I might be rebuying sometime soon.
Yeah.
Keep it on the DL.
And like you mentioned earlier, man, I know you've had regrets about selling your Aquis. Have you had regrets about selling your Seamaster?
No, 0 regrets on the Seamaster. But out of all the watches, I think I'm up to owning around over 80 watches at this point. The Aquis is the #1 watch that I probably regret the most. And I think the only reason I sold it is because I was using those funds for a bigger purchase that was coming around the corner, and I needed those funds.
And let me get your opinion, and for you guys too, because I know why I sold my SMP over this. I had them both in hand, and I wore the SMP for, like I said, nearly a year. And it still had that allure that caught me when I first bought it. I love the skeletonized hands, and all the features on that watch are unique, and especially around the time it was made, I think it was the best diver on the market. But this Aquis, it just took it to another level for me. It feels like a tool watch. It feels like a diver's watch. And when I was looking for a diver, that's the kind of feeling I wanted when I had it on the wrist. And the Seamaster just didn't exhibit that. It felt like I was getting ready to go to a tuxedo event. I felt like a real gentleman, where I just wanted to feel like...
You felt like James Bond.
I felt like James Bond. And you know what? It's synonymous with James Bond these days. And it's that doesn't kill it for me. But it does. It doesn't. That's not what I was going for.
But you wanted to feel like an axe-bearing, mountain man with an Oris on his wrist.
You know what's funny though? It's and that matters to me, guys. And I don't know if that's talked about enough, but the feel of something on the wrist, what it makes you feel like, and for me, the Oris gives me a feeling of adventure, where the Seamaster gave me the feeling of just being a gent, and that's good. But I can accomplish that with a dress watch. That's more appropriate.
Absolutely.
And then you know what? That drives back home another point in a previous video of ours, dress watches and why we would wear them. I'm always going to go for the sportier watch. That's me personally.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a 21st century thing.
It's kind of funny how we come to the conclusion that you don't need one, but I'm wearing
Yeah.
a dress watch right now too.
You just have this fixed up.
But I did say vintage changes the equation a little bit. Remember that?
It does.
And this is a 49-year-old watch. So.
But back to the point, I wanted to get your opinion. Like, why do you regret the Aquis sale, and why would you keep it over the Seamaster? Because you had it longer.
Yeah, I think the Aquis is a modern classic, right?
In the making, it is definitely.
Absolutely, and I think it just had. I think that was the biggest reason, is because it felt like I guess I had it last year, right? So it felt like a 2016. What a dive watch should be in 2016. I guess the crown guards on there were kind of very, very big and bulky and kind of like finely machined, and kind of gave this like masculine feel. And I wore this watch always in the summertime. And the way on the rubber, and the way it was integrated with the rubber, the clasp was absolutely phenomenal.
And that's a whole new story. Like, I love bracelets. I'm a bracelet guy, but the rubber straps that Oris puts out, same with the TT1 and same with your Aquis. I mean, this guy, he was gushing about this rubber strap for like the longest time.
I really was.
It was good. It was
phenomenal.
quality.
Yeah.
And then the clasp.
It smelled like vanilla. Oh my god! It even smelled so good.
Yeah.
After an entire summer of wearing it, it still smelled like vanilla. And the thing is, it was a modern watch. It had the case design, the angles. It was very, like I said, modern. It wasn't like any of these old vintage style pieces, right?
Yeah.
It had the brushed ceramic. It almost. I would love to, even though a lot of people would be like, oh, that's disgusting. I would love to have like a modern royal oak offshore on my wrist, like at the beach, or you know what I mean? Like, I kind of love that idea, that kind of romance of having like, I would even have like an Hublot Big Bang, like a very reserved one, right? But on rubber, just walking down the beach or walking down the boardwalk in Miami, and that Aquis is almost giving me the feeling that I had an affordable version of one of those, because
like
the way it was
rugged,
a rugged modern diver with that phenomenal rubber. I love it. The feel.
I'm zooming it now. Can you tell?
You can tell I'm like almost reliving the moments as I'm thinking about how the watch made me feel. So that goes back to what you're saying, how it makes you feel. Like there's just something about it. There was like Tristan always talks about this X factor.
Yeah.
You know, in his reviews. And
that's,
the Oris has...
For you guys who don't know, we're talking about the Urban Gentry channel.
Yeah, the Urban Gentry channel. Check it out. He's got a bunch of great reviews.
He's a really good guy.
But it's that X factor, that feeling it gives you, you know? Just so many phenomenal components brought into one watch that...
And you know what, guys, it's going to be different for you. And I know there's plenty of people out there that swear by Omega.
Oh, man, I really want an Aquis now again.
I know. Oh, why did I do this? I'm sorry, man. But, like... From the moment you open the box to the seconds it takes to size this and put it on your wrist. By the way, it has screw links, practical, just like all the other watches. To when you wear it day to day and you've had it on the wrist, it provides that feeling of adventure that, I saw it in like a tool watch.
The perfect word for this and an Aquis or these modern divers, they're badass.
They are.
They're refined, but they're badass.
And it's that kettle shape. It like harkens back to like old weights. It just reminds you of like the kettlebells or like those old weights that the men would use when they're working out. I don't know. You're a fitness buff. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know what I mean? It reminds me of like a kettlebell. I just feel like I just want to like rock. I just want to use it and work out with this thing.
Throw it out the window.
Yeah, it's like, but I knew it could take that. Whereas the Seamaster, I felt so scared about like hitting it on a wall.
Yeah, because
I banged this against the door the other day and I was totally cool. It, like without a second thought, did that bother me? No.
It goes back to what we talked about with Rolex marking their Submariner in a tuxedo. Remember?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that Seamaster.
But that's what divers are now. But this isn't that diver.
But that isn't that. You know that's tool. That's the modern tool diver. That's not the modern dress diver.
Yeah, and you know, and what Oris is doing now with the 65. They're bringing something vintage back completely with a reissue of the 65, and that to me is more of their dress diver. But if you wanted a diver that felt like not a gentleman's watch, but a man's watch or a woman's watch, they make a great, I think it's 36 millimeters.
Mid-size, yeah.
Those are phenomenal. So if the female viewing audience, like if you want a watch that's going to make you feel adventure, it's the Oris Aquis or the TT1 for you guys who want to go a little vintage.
And they have the 40. They don't have the 40 millimeter version.
There are tougher
for the Aquis,
to find 40 millimeter versions of the new line.
Yeah, but the old ones they only come in the 44 too, right?
And
but it should be noted.
Yeah.
This is a 44 millimeter watch too.
And
so
look
we
at
can
the
kind
difference.
of push that up there. You can see. I don't know if you guys can probably see that the difference of the two.
And that's because that kettle shape,
yeah,
the way it's like I'm going to say scallop inappropriately, the way it forms onto the wrist, provides a sense that it's a smaller watch, but it still has that presence.
Yeah. So that dial face is probably more like a 42, but that kettlebell pushes out to
44.
You know.
Yeah.
So
guys, if you're in the market for a watch that screams adventure, I don't think you could go wrong with the Oris Aquis or trying to find one of these TT1s on the used market. They made them in titanium and steel. They had some with the sub-seconds hand, and they have some with the, I guess what do you call this, sort of a lollipop second hand here with that long pointer. I don't think you can go wrong. And gents out there that love your Seamasters, this is by no means a replacement for it. Mm-hmm. But for me, and I've mentioned this on other videos, I have 6 slots that I'm trying to fill. This one took the spot of the Seamaster, and that Seamaster is going to go towards something great. Let me tell you.
I have about 100 slots in my.
Yeah. Oh, there's another slot for your Aquis.
I know, right? Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thank you for joining on this one. I hope it wasn't too controversial. Again, I just want to state that it's really apples and oranges. If I could go get a ceramic Seamaster, which I was very much contemplating recently. The black ones are beautiful. Mm-hmm. I would, but for a different kind of occasion and feel. But guys, if you like this video, feel free to hit that like button. If you disliked it, I'm sure a lot of you did. I love Omega, don't get me wrong. I still have an Omega in my collection. You can hit that dislike button. We'll take it all. Subscriptions, guys, if you want to see more content like this, feel free to hit the subscribe button. It's somewhere in that region over there. And if you want to see content like this pop out immediately, you can hit the bell icon, the kettlebell, next to the subscribe button on our homepage, and you'll see these videos instantaneously pop up in a feed. All right, guys, thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for more awesome episodes about watches.
Go buy an Oris.
Go buy an Oris. That was the message in this video. Thank you, Oris, for making these watches. We really love you here. Take care, guys.
See ya.